So should you hire an attorney to file for disability, Social Security disability that is? Well, that is the million-dollar question. I'll tell you my story. I kind of had some different circumstances. I got injured on the job working. I was involved in a really bad accident, crushed my 3 lumbar discs. So I was on workman's comp for a year and a half. And between that time, I had consulted with an attorney that specialized in, disability claims, that kind of stuff, because the insurance company for my employer was being real sketchy. And it was a large, major insurance carrier in the United States. So anyway, I hired this attorney to look out for my behalf. And as far as I know, she did a fairly well job. I got a pretty decent sized settlement out of it, I guess, when it was all said and done. But I was permanently disabled, went through all that crap, to testing, and went to surgeons and whatnot, and they told me I needed to have my lumbar spine fused together in 3 different phases. Needless to say, once they permanently deemed me permanently disabled, once my employer got word of that, well, I think I called my attorney to see what they said. Well, just wait for them to call you. They called me within a couple days, and they fired me for that. Not for getting hurt, obviously, but they fired me because they said, well, we don't have any other type of work for you to do. And I think they could have probably moved me into the office, because I was a project manager out in the field. And I was making a good 6-figure income, and I wasn't expecting to get paid $240,000 a year in a job that I didn't know anything about. But I also was very kind of shocked that I got fired. But needless to say, during that time, my attorney told me, she goes, if you want to file for Social Security disability while, after this is all said and done, I can do that too. And I said, okay, well, hopefully that doesn't happen, but I'm retired from the military, so I do get a pension for 24 years. So I got that. I had savings and whatnot. So it didn't hurt me too bad during that year and a half being on workman's comp. It did, but it didn't. I was only getting like 60% of my income. It could have been nothing, I guess. But whatever. Football players, they get hurt and they still get their millions of dollars, but whatever. I'm not a professional athlete, but so anyway, a couple weeks go by and I decided to go ahead and file for Social Security disability, because I just wanted to get it done, right? Not that I had planned on staying on that, because I didn't. I wasn't planning on that. I was just, well, okay, because I didn't know. I was 49 years old. So she tells me it was going to be about a year and a half to 2 years. Okay, that's fine. I figured it was going to take a while, because it's the government, and that's just the way it is. I'd read about it and stuff. So she filed on my behalf and all this stuff. And I get asked a lot about this. Would I ever hire an attorney, if I were to do it again? And the answer is yes, because there's so much paperwork involved, so many legalities and little things here and there that it's well worth every penny. As far as I know, they can only take up to $7,500 of your back pay that you'll get when you do file. And from the time that you were totally disabled until the time that you got approved, between that time span, you get that in back pay, and it can be a sizable amount of money. Mine was 6 figures. Anyway, so I get asked that a lot, and yes, I would in a million years hire an attorney. Even though they don't seem like they do a lot, they still do, because it's not like you're sitting there watching them do it. But behind the scenes, yeah, there's a lot of crap that's going on. They gotta do this, do that, file this, file that, get your records, all that crap. So there's a shit ton of stuff that you need to do. So yes, I would most definitely. But each person, this is not legal advice. This is just my advice, my recommendations, just what I would do. But that's something that you'll have to decide for yourself. Consulting an attorney is free. attorneys work on contingency in these type of cases, so you don't pay them a dime. You don't even pay them a dime once you get paid. The state or the government sends them their money, so you don't even see that it's gone, right? It's just, they take it out and that's it. Blah, 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 wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. So anyway, I got denied 4 different times during that whole course of between the time that I filed for disability, not this is not including my 1.5 year stint with workman's comp, but from the time that I filed for disability, Social Security disability, till the time that I got approved, it took 5.5 years. Well, 5 years and 7 months to be exact. 5 years and 7 months it took. So, a lot of things happened in between that time, like COVID happened. Of course, then they, use that as an excuse that it's going to slow everything down by a couple years. I just thought they were full of crap. It did. It slowed it down big time, because that's when they were doing like courts and stuff from Zoom calls and whatnot. And my hearing, when I had my court hearing, it was supposed to be in federal court in person, but then they changed it to a Zoom call, and something happened. They couldn't figure out the Zoom thing, and it ended up being just a regular phone call. Me, my attorney, the judge, and then I can't even think of the name of them. It's like the occupational therapist. They, will let the judge know that, well, he's got these disabilities. He's permanently disabled. He can't do this. He can't do that. The judge will try to find anything possible for you to do. They don't care if you make $240,000 a year. If you can work at McDonald's, by God, you're denied, and you're going to work at McDonald's. That's just the way it is. The occupational therapist, she goes, well, right now I don't know of anything with his background, military background, and with his construction background. I don't know of anything that he could do without being retrained, And here I am. I think I'm like 51 or 52 years old now at this time, which is good, because once you get to 50, the chances of your approval go through the ceiling. They skyrocket. Because I guess they look at it as like we're not trainable or something. Well, during that 5.5 years, I decided, I'm gonna have to find something to do, because even though I had a good pension from the military, I'm just not the type that wants to sit around and be retired. When I think of retired, I think of like somebody in their 70s or 80s, and even that's changed a lot now. But I just think of, I've just never been that type of person. I'm, from the Generation X era. I know we're all used to working for everything we got, and I'm just not used to just sitting around watching TV. And I mean, there's days and here and there where I want to, just sit around and do nothing. But for the most part, I'm always wanting to do something. I don't care what it is. I'm always wanting to do something. Well, being disabled, that really screwed my whole dynamics completely up as far as what I used to do. So, like I said, I retrained myself. I took a lot of online courses, enrolled into an online college, learned how to code, learned AI before AI even came out. So I started writing apps and creating web apps and apps for Apple and Android. Started doing all that. Well, I couldn't find a job to save my life, because the tech industry during COVID, they started laying off tens of thousands of people. So what happened was I ended up just started my own business, started freelancing, and I found that was probably my best thing that's ever happened as far as that goes. Just started freelancing. One job turns into 10 jobs, 10 jobs turns into overwhelming, type of work, not in a bad way either, so I guess every little time you step in dog shit, there's always a little ray of sunshine that happens somewhere, I guess. So I haven't, the only complaints I got is with the government as far as the way they treat people in general. I don't see how a person that is disabled or has a serious illness can honestly go through this without any source of income whatsoever. Say if they don't have any savings or anything, or family or friends to help them like I did. I had my son that lives with me, my youngest son, he's 20 years old now. I have my dog, and I had my mom. My mom doesn't live with me, but she helped me a lot through this time, just support, whatnot, emotional support. But it's amazing how many people just exit your life after you are found to be of no value to them, And that's kind of the way the government treats us, that we are no value to them no more, and it's a burden to them. They put us to the back of the line. They'll give a refugee or an illegal alien like a house and just food, everything. A whole new way of life, They'll put them way in the front of the line before they even take care of their own people. And I've got a huge problem with that. So I'm wanting to help as many people as I can with this, and I want to try to get this changed. That the government needs to be completely overhauled, especially in Social Security. It needs a complete overhaul, because it's not right that people that have worked their lives, that are American citizens, have to go through this stuff. It's so stressful to have to deal with it. I can only imagine what it would be like not having any financial help, any help. I don't see how people can do it. I don't see how people can survive. It's horrendous the way they treat people. It's absolutely horrendous. And something's gonna have to change. Each year or each 4 years we get a new president or somebody new's running. They promise this, they promise that. They all lie. I don't care if you're a Democrat or Republican, they all lie. All they care about is their own power, their own wealth, their own greed. That's it. You can obviously see certain parties will put in refugees and whatever you want to call them, these third world refugees all around the country in little pockets, so they can build a consistent voting base. We have it here in our city on the south side where I live. 27,000 Burmese refugees lives here, and those people were treated like rock stars. Like they couldn't, as soon as they got off the boat or wherever they came from, with a bag full of clothes that were infested with bed bugs. That's why we have bed bugs in our country now, because we had them eradicated, but thanks to these third world people, and the people that's supposed to help them didn't take care of them. So now here we are with bed bugs throughout, not me personally, but we have a problem with them, and that's why. Well, they throw money at these people. They actually they can't get it out of their hands fast enough to give to Burmese and to the Somalis and stuff. And these people are from the third world countries. They have no idea how to even turn on a light switch, let alone deal with this newfound wealth that they get. We give them the keys to the kingdom, while American citizens are treated like crap. Like and I don't talk about my military career hardly at all. It's just something I don't talk about. But I'm highly decorated, and not that I deserve any better treatment than the next guy, because I don't. But the treatment they give you, that I experienced, was just, like I was just some street junkie. That's what I was treated like. And it was horrendous. Now I can only imagine what other people are going through. And we have tens of thousands of people. We have like 700 to, I think they said 2 million people every year apply for disability. I'm sure there's a lot of claims in there that, are they real or not? We don't know that, but 700,000 of them every year get approved. So, and it's extensive. It's extensive. I don't know how you could actually fake being disabled, because of the crap they put you through, the testing and whatnot, because they want to make sure you have to have everything well documented. You have to have medical records that are well documented in chronological order. You can't go to the doctor once a year and expect to get approved. You're just not going to. if you're truly disabled or got a serious illness, then yes, obviously you're going to be going to the doctor a lot. I was going 5-6 times a month. I go to the VA, and I still go to the VA quite a bit, probably at least 3 times a month. So they wanted to see a big ass medical records, which, it's obvious reasons, right? So, yeah, you got to have a bunch of medical records. Medical records is your key to, getting through this disability process. Like I said, hiring an attorney, that's your personal choice on that. Me personally, I didn't want to do all the paperwork. That paperwork is horrendous. The stacks and stacks of paperwork, the crap that you have to do. There's tons of stuff you got to do. So I just want to be done. I just wanted to sign my name as my power of attorney and be done. Let them handle it, and they did. I had very little interaction with my attorney those 5.5 years. Well, actually 7 years, from the time that I got hurt, because she was my attorney for my work comp claim too. I probably talked to my attorney maybe 10 times in that 7 years. But the 10 times that they talked to me, or paralegals would call you too, I talked to them, not a lot, but enough, I guess. They'd call and ask a question about this, about that. Everything was pretty fluidly simple. I didn't have any hiccups, but like I said, they denied me 4 different times, and I've got 3 crushed discs in my back. So I don't know how hard it would be for anybody else. I don't know. I personally don't know anybody that's gone through this. I know a lot of people that's on VA disability. I was going to get on that, but I've got why I don't want to. I'm just not going to. I don't need to. So I'm not going to. But I know a lot of fellow veterans that are on VA disability, and they said the process was not easy on that either. They make it hard, because once you get out of the military, for whatever reason, you're looked at like you're just a damaged, broken tool to the government. You're a burden, because like I said, I go to the VA as little as possible, and they, it's obviously government, and they treat you like dirt shit. I mean, just completely like dog shit. The people there are rude. I've never had any good interactions there. I've got a couple doctors that they're all right, but the regular staff type people that work there, like the people that check you in, they act like you're just a burden to them. That they actually have to quit eating while they're sitting there at the reception desk. They have to quit stuffing their big ass fat face and help you. It's ridiculous. I've made so many complaints about that place, and I know a lot of other veterans, throughout my life that's gone through the same shit. And so I think it's kind of across the board. Government employees in general just treat people like shit. Why, I don't know. I mean, they get paid good. I mean, I would do that job, writing names down or typing names in the computer every day to, check people in. I'd do that for $30 an hour or whatever they get paid. I'd do it all day long, and I'd be the happiest guy on earth. I guarantee you that. But I don't know. I know they have a lot of DEI hires at the VA where I worked. I'm sure they're like that pretty much all across the United States. My first doctor got me addicted to morphine, put me on morphine without any type of testing or anything. Didn't even, all he seen was my records, and it's like, oh yeah, you need to be put on morphine. Then I went down that spiral, but I'm off morphine, off all that crap, so I don't take any of that stuff anymore. Stuff will kill you. But yeah, filing for disability is not fun by any means, but I will say, to go through the process, the thing that helped me is just having people that were there unconditionally, like my son and my mom, because everybody else looks at you like you're a burden, or like, oh God, he can't help me no more, or he's going to ask me for help or some shit. It's like, I've lost a lot of friends and family members over that deal. I haven't spoken to them to this day and don't care to speak to them anymore, because, you just don't, I don't treat people like that. I would never treat somebody like that, especially somebody that's hurt and that needs help, support, whatever. I would never treat somebody. Definitely challenging mentally and physically. Physically, honestly, I've gotten used to the pain. I go through a lot of pain every day, just like probably everybody else that goes through this kind of crap. It's very painful, and I've decided I'm probably not going to do the surgery because it'd take too long in between each one to recover, and I'm not going to put anybody through that shit. I don't expect nobody to stop what they're doing to take care of me while I'm recovering. I just don't. I'm getting along just fine the way it is. I got, like I said, I'm in a lot of pain. It's a pain in the ass to get out of bed every morning. I think once you start getting up to a certain age, it's like that pretty much anyway, so I've changed the way I live as far as my new way of life, my income. I'm doing well as a freelancer, so I have no problems with that whatsoever. I wish there was something I could do to change things for other fellow Americans that goes through this, to make it to where it's not such a lengthy process. I think it should be more streamlined. Honestly, I think people that are injured, however they got hurt, disabled, serious illness, whatnot, I think they ought to streamline it and like fast track people, because people can't eat or pay their bills with zero money. I don't see how the American government can expect us to do that. I don't. Unless you have a good sized amount of savings and help, I don't see how people can do it. I just don't. Thank God I had my family, and thank God I had money, because it's financially draining, it's emotionally, it taxes your mental capacities. As bad as it sucks, as easy it is to say now in hindsight, but positive thinking will definitely get you a lot further than sitting around and really feeling down, letting that get to you. I know it's easier said than done, because I've had my days where, I felt completely hopeless. I did. I'm not gonna lie, there's several days, weeks, months that I felt completely hopeless, like I had no idea what I was gonna do. No idea. And but I started watching these YouTube videos, people, making money online, making money doing this, making money doing that. So that's why I started watching them, and I said, well, I'm going to do that. I'm going to enroll in some of these courses through like Udemy or Coursera. Both of them are excellent sources of educational materials. Excellent. I enrolled in college, took online college, got a degree, took cybersecurity courses. I took everything I could to learn a new way of life, because at the time, all I had known was military or construction, and that was it. I knew nothing about tech, nothing. I liked it. I liked how things worked. I was always inquisitive on how in the hell can you get our cell phones to do all this stuff, and here it is now, 2026, and the tech that we have now is just simply amazing. The stuff that I can do is amazing. At my age, most people are not like, what, you do all that? It's like, hell yeah, I can do all that stuff, and I love doing it, because I didn't grow up with it. Us Generation X people, we didn't grow up with the tech. Like my kids are like Gen Z, so they're born with that crap in their hands. So to them it's nothing, but to me it's like, oh my God, this just opened up a whole new career, and it did. Wish it was 20 years sooner, I'd be a multi-millionaire, 100 times over, 100, a lot, big time, because I could have made a shit ton of money. That's why there's so many tech millionaires, because one thing, it only takes one thing to come up with and change your life. But I strongly encourage thinking positive as much as you can, trying to get as much whatever, depending on your limitations, of course, getting as much exercise as possible, talking to people, talking to a psychiatrist, a counselor. I've got a psychiatrist through the VA that because of PTSD and all that crap, but whatever. Talking to family that will love you unconditionally and help you unconditionally. People that is going to be there at the worst of times and the best of times. Just having somebody there, having your dog. I've got my dog that's helped me out tremendously. He's helped me out in more ways than I ever thought was possible. I've had a lot of dark time past. I've had a really dark past. It definitely takes a toll on you. Life's already hard enough to go through without having all these disability issues. But then you throw that on top of it, and then you throw on top of it that you ain't got an income no more, or so yeah, it's hard. I do think, I know our government needs to be completely gutted and overhauled, starting with the Social Security, disability type things. The VA needs to be completely gutted and overhauled. How that can be done, I don't know. Getting the right people in would definitely help. Getting people that are not politicians in would help. Taking away, a lot from the politicians that they get now would help. Term limits would strongly help. We got 85-year-old people that's running our country, and I have nothing against people that are 85 years old. My mom just turned 80. I think if somebody, when they're 85 years old, not running our country, or 80 years old, not running our country, or 75 years old, not running our country. I think people that needs to be running our country are people that's in their 40s and 50s. People that's in, that's had a career, had life experiences and whatnot. I just don't think people that's in their 70s and up have no business running our country, because I think they're doing more harm than they've done good. I've never voted Democrat in my life and never will, but I'm more of a in the middle type guy than anything. I know I'm tired of being lied to by our politicians. I'm tired of them promising this, promising that, and nothing happens. I'm tired of our country being not America first. We have politicians that cannot wait to talk about how they are so pro-Israel. Who gives a shit? Be pro-America. We're pro-America. You can't have two wives or two girlfriends or two boyfriends or two husbands, because you're going to favor one over the other, no matter if you love both of them. So that's why you cannot be Israel. Why Israel's our number one ally, I'm still yet to figure that out. My whole career, I never seen an Israeli soldier, never fought side by side with an Israeli soldier, but all the other NATO and UN countries fighting alongside us, but never an Israeli. And why we are so adamant about, being pro-Israel over our own country it remains to be seen. I'm anti-Semite, because I'm not. I'm definitely not anti-Semite. I'm not racist. I'm not a bigot. I just am pro-American. Pro-America first. Because our country has so many problems. It's going to take a long time for our country to get straightened out. It really is. On the surface, you might see this. Oh, we're doing this. We're doing great. Are we, though? How's the average American feeling every day? That's the people you got to ask. Not some billionaire, not some multimillionaire. You got to ask the average American citizen how they're feeling every day. What do you think? How do you think our country's doing? You think we're doing good? Do you think we're getting enough illegal aliens out of our country? No, we're not. I thought we were supposed to get out millions of them, but we haven't. I don't even think we've gotten out 500,000. I'm pro-ICE, I will say that. I think we need to get them out as fast as possible, because I do believe there's a lot of criminals in our country that are illegal aliens that need to be booted, that need to be caught and held, not just thrown out of the country, but they need to be put up, indicted for the crimes that they've committed here, and then pay the price, whatever that is. I'm just rambling on now, but I don't know, I'm just fed up with the way we get treated as Americans. We don't get treated fairly. We don't. The average American citizen does not get treated fairly by our own people. The people that are supposed to be there working for us. The government. The government. What's the Constitution say? First three words in the Constitution. We the people. That's us. We run this country. This is our country to run. The way it was supposed to be designed was you got your average Joe from each community, from each town, city, whatever, that we sent to DC to do our politicking for us, and they don't have outside sources come and take, try to get their influence, like we do now. Like our politicians are so heavily influenced by lobbyists, by these APACs and super PACs and whatnot. That our voice doesn't even matter. Our voice matters nothing. They want us to vote, yeah, because that's what it matters. But once we're done, we're done. We're just, okay, well, we'll see in 4 years, guys. We're off to go make billions of dollars now. Go get in there for our own greed. I honestly think most politicians by nature are narcissistic. That's why they stay in it so long, because they love that power. They love that feeling of power and people kissing their asses and stuff, I've dealt with a lot of politicians in my career in the military, and I've never liked one of them, not one of them, Republican or not. I mean, I don't think any better about a Republican than I do a Democrat. I don't think anything good about any of them, because once they get into politics, man, something happens to them. Something bad happens. All I know is I just know something's going to have to change here in America, for our future. That's who I'm worried about, is our future, my kids. I'm worried about. I've got a 4-year-old grandson now. I'm worried about his future. I'm really worried about it. I've never worried about much in my life, about as far as being scared of things, like the future and what's tomorrow going to bring type thing. But I do now, because I worry for my kids, because I want them to have a good country, to grow up in. And is that going to happen? That remains to be seen. Well, hopefully y'all like this video. If you know somebody can use this or something they can get help with, and share it with them. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next one.